Greetings all, Precious the New Jamaican here. Do either of you remember this situation? Well, let me tell you where we stand with that. Stay tuned. So when we bought our land, we were told that there was a lady building a house on our property. We had offended our talk with her and asked her to move her house. We were then informed that that is exactly what she did. In actuality, she did not. She did not move her house. She continued to build. So, gosh, I guess the best way to tell this story is to start way from the beginning. So how would I do this? So there is a lady who owns some land that is adjacent to our land. And for the sake of this video, we're going to call her Mary. So Mary owns some land that is adjacent to our land. Mary then leased a portion of her land to someone who then built a house. We'll call that person Martha. So Mary owns the land adjacent to us. She leased some land to Martha, and Martha built a house. So we come to find out, after believing that Martha's house was on our property, on finding the pins, or at least some of the pins that outlines our property, that yeah, we were pretty sure that Martha's house was on our property, and Martha was pretty sure that her house was on our property. So we ended up hiring a surveyor who came out with all of his equipment. We showed him where one pin is, where the other pins were. Him knowing the dimensions of our land, the shape of it, the width of it, the length of it, knowing where some of the pins were, went to do his investigations. After he did his survey, he found out that indeed Martha's house was partially on our property. In fact, the property line runs almost down the middle of Martha's house. So what to do? I reached out to our attorney, told her the situation. I had taken a picture of Martha's house, and I sent her a copy of the surveyor's report and said, hey, this lady's on our property. What should we do? Now, initially, I was saying that, gosh, I really don't know that I would have the heart to have her house torn down. And but you know, every situation that we could come up, every scenario that we could come up with, it just did not sit right with us. The best solution, the only solution, was to really ask Martha to move her house. Now, by this time, she's been in that house for a couple of years, because it's from the time we bought the house until now, while we're building, been a couple of years. Time just flies by. So I reached out to my attorney and said, hey, this is a situation we find ourselves in. My attorney was like, oh my God, these people. So she said, I'll tell you what to do. I want you to try and settle this amicably as possible. Write them a letter. Write both Mary a letter, the landowner, and Martha a letter, the homeowner. Give them a copy of the surveyor's report and give her 60 days to move her house. One of the things that the attorney told me is that in Jamaica, not only are you not supposed to build within 3 feet of the property line, a house like Martha's does not need a building permit. because that is considered a temporary structure. So she can tear it down. It doesn't matter what kind of foundation she put in, and in this case, Martha put in a stone foundation, and but the house itself, according to Jamaica, is a temporary structure. So she told us, give her 60 days to move her house. So I'm like, okay, that's what we did. So we wrote Mary a letter explaining that, hey, Martha's house is on our property. We understand that she leased some property from you. You all's intent was for Martha to build her house on your property. We want to be able to fence in our property, so we have asked Martha to move her house. We sent Martha a similar letter, hey, explaining here's the surveyor's report. Your house is on partially on our property. We can't even fence in our property. Please move your house. Mary did not accept the letter. She's like, I'm not accepting that letter. I'm going to get my own surveyor. Whatever, suit yourself. I don't know what a new surveyor was going to do. It's not going to change the dimensions of our land. It's not going to change where the pins are. But if that's the stance that she wanted to take, what could we do? When we relayed that to our attorney, she said, that's fine. Tell her that's fine. Tell her she has 30 days to get a new survey. And if she does not have the new survey within 30 days, you will get your attorneys involved. So we relayed that message to her. Now, Martha, she did accept the letter. And she didn't have any qualms about it. I don't really know what her stance would have been, an argument would have been or was going to be, but she accepted the letter, and we just waited to see what was going to happen. Now, as it turns out in Jamaica, even though that is a temporary structure, and thank God it was a temporary structure, because this could have been way worse if it had been a permanent house like what we're building and what most people live in. If someone builds on your property and they have been there for 7+ years, they can then claim ownership of that property. That was shocking to me. It does not matter whether they have a permit or not. They can claim ownership of your property. Now, it doesn't mean that they're going to get it, but they can claim ownership. Now, in our situation, I don't know that Martha would have been in a position to claim ownership of anything. She was just leasing property. Mary, on the other hand, particularly since she took the stance that she took, maybe she was going to see if she can drag this whole thing out, and for years, and then say, hey, that house has been there now for however many years. I'm saying it's mine. They can't do anything about it. I don't even know why she was going that route. In all actuality, I think she went that route as more like a defense mechanism. Somebody came at her and said, you did something wrong, and her response was, no, I didn't. I'll get my own. So I'm just guessing. That's where her head was. So Martha did not take the same stance that Mary took. What was her defense going to be? She didn't own the land. She was just leasing. I really don't know why Mary took the stance that she took, except, like I said earlier, it's just like, don't say I did something wrong. And the letters were nice letters. They were firm, but they were nice. And we wanted to go the route that we did. We wanted to try and work it out between ourselves. We could have just gotten our attorneys to get involved or gotten the parish council involved, but that comes off negative. Like, I'm going to get the authorities on you for having done something wrong without first trying to work this out between ourselves. I mean, we're neighbors. We're not that close, but to each other. But you're neighbors, and you want to have a good relationship with your neighbors. But one of the things that Raymond kept saying, well, we want to be good neighbors. Blah blah blah. What should we do? Well, being a good neighbor does not mean just taking anything that anybody dishes out at you. So, where we are right now, after having delivered the letter to Martha, gotten the response that we got from Mary, relayed to Mary that, hey, you have 30 days to get your new survey. We went out to the property, and this is what we found. She's moving her house. She had already moved out, and she began to dismantle her house. I'm so happy that this is over. I mean, it's not completely over because the house is not completely gone, but thank God we didn't have to go through any of the nonsense. It did not matter at the end of the day that Mary was saying, hey, I'm going to get my own survey, and we told her we got 30 days to do that. We didn't really want any of that nonsense. I mean, again, I don't know what that was going to prove, but Martha saw the handwriting on the wall and just said, look, I have no defense in this. I have no option, no choice but to get out of here. I am on these people's property. And even if this thing was dragged out for however long, at the end of the day, I'm going to have to move. So she just went ahead and did just that. So I am very, very happy, happy, happy. We don't have to worry about this. I mean, imagine 7 years down the line, she, we could have ended up in some kind of crazy legal battle. That again doesn't mean that she would have been given this property. She meaning Mary, because she claimed it. But the fact that she has that legal right is something that's whew. So advice I would give to you, if you are purchasing some land and there is some kind of issue like this, I wouldn't even buy that land, because again, depending on what kind of structure is on the land, how long it's been there, it can be an issue that you just don't want to deal with. It could have been that we said, okay, stay there for now. For all you know, we could have changed our minds and wanted her off and the property. So it was just best to ask her to move right now. Thank God she did just that. So we are on our way. She's off our property. Yes, now we can continue and move forward, fence in our property, and continue to build our house and live there happily ever after. So that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with me. I trust this video was informative and helpful to you. If you have not done so, please go back and give my other videos a watch, a like, a comment, and share them as well. Signing off for now. I will see you in the next video.